We continue with Berachot, page Daf 39. We are going to study today, Mitzvah Hashem, several things. First, the continue Ilchot Berachot, what involved with the size, minimum size of making the bracha. Also, when you are exempt from making bracha before or after. Then we're going to have a discussion over several issues, specific issue, such as specific Berakhot, like water that come out of vegetables, or water that come out of different dishes and different category of Berachot. And time allow, we'll go to the some of Ilchot Pesach that we derive from those halachot. The last discussion we have yesterday was about kezait. As you know, kezait, it's like olive bulk. It's several options, several opinions. So the very bottom of the previous page, like 38 at the very bottom, Amar le Rabbi Yirmiyah le Rab Zera, very bottom of the page. Amar le Rabbi Yirmiyah le Rab Zera, Rabbi Yochanan hechem mevarech al zait maliach. We ask a question, how Rabbi Yochanan make the bracha over a olive bark that was very salty. Kevan deshkila legarinei, since he pulled out the pit from the oil, which means he did not eat it. Betzar shiura, so you don't have the minimum size to make a measure. So now here's the issue: if you have a very small quantity that you eat, if it's below the kezait, meaning below the size, whenever I say kezait in this shiur, so instead of repeating, kezait is an olive bulk. So if you are below the kezait, you remove the pit and it's below the kezait, betzar lei shiura, you don't have the smallest measure, you need it. Amar lei, so respond, he said to him, misavart kezait gadol ba'inan. If you go to Druze, Druze, it's a group of Arabs. Part of them is in Syria, part of them in North Israel. So I served one time with several Druze, and we have like a break in the village. In those days, it's a village. It's still there. It's called Marar. It's in North Galilee. So they have there a very large field of olives. So the fellow Druze, the fellow officer that asked us to pass by his village, he showed us at that time they have at least 3 different sizes and colors of olives. So then I fully understand what the Gemarah said here, because they have olives that in the size of our language in eggs, large one. They have olives that they have physically they smash them. And they have olives that they raise with certain spices, and they have a different methodology of after taking them out and they have a process of making this. So some of those olives became very small, some of the olives became bigger. So he said to him, do you hold that we require a large oil kezait benoni ba'inan? The truth is that the measure of food that you need here is medium size of olive. והעיקר, וההוא דאייתו לקמי דרבי יוחנן זית גדול אבא, אף על גב דשקלו על גרעינותי פש לשיעורה. So it's a story about Rabbi Yochanan that they use this large measure of kezait, but even they took out the pit. They still have the measure of shiur, they still have a measure remain. So again, by halacha, we discussed it yesterday. I just want to reinforce for you, just missed yesterday a shiur, even you can see it on the YouTube. The Rambam we quote yesterday, he said in the Ilchot Brachot that there is a certain shiur that is called a shiur kezait. So he said it few places, but one of them he said that shiur kezait, a measure of kezait of an olive bark, one who eats any food prohibited by the Torah law, it's a problem. It's basically liable of punishment, because we explained several times that the person should not enjoy this world without making a bracha. So now the big question is, what's the size? So there are different opinions with regard to the relative size of the olive. So you have here the Rambam, who said that the 1/3 of an egg bark. You have the Magen Avraham and others that say that is the equivalent of half of the. It's a different opinion. Some say that half of the egg bark. So it's a question. But here they call it Zayit Benoni, the Tnan. The Gemarah now try to tell us a clear proof what is the real measure in Halacha of Kezayit. So they said, Kezayit Shamru, the olive that the sages talk, what is the real measure? Lo katan velo gadol ela beinoni vezehu aguri. So you remember a few minutes ago we discussed the Druze. So if you go to that Druze place, okay, and they show you a different olive size, so you see one olive that is size of an egg. You have another olive that is the size, after the smashes and they pull out the pit, it is small, tiny milk. So he said, when the Gemarah used the measurement of Kezayit, it's not too big, it's not too small, and it's something that it's a medium, and they call it aguri. Now it's a different interpretation of the word aguri. ואמר רבי אבהו לא אגורי שמו עליו אותי שמו, ואמרי סמרוסי שמו, ולמה נקרא שמו אגורי? ששמנו אגור בתוכו. So there are several ideas what's involved with aguri. One, it's different names, but the key here is that ששמו אגור בתוכו. It's like, they call it in Hebrew, the zan hazeitim, the source of the olive. So he said, because they have such a heavy, Rashi explained to us, and he said mezuman latzet mimeno, that they have such a large amount of olive, שאינו נבלע בפרי כמשקה תפוחים ותותים, that it's not part of the fruit like an apple or strawberry, אלא אגור כמשקה ענבים, that it contains like a grape. As we discussed, the grape, the minute that you squeeze, it's very different than you squeeze a strawberry. So he said that's the reason for that name. Neima ketanai. So what's the problem here? When you talk about bracha for the shalkut, you have an issue. Why? The hanhu trei talmidei, the havu yatvei kamei the bar kapara. You see in many places in Talmud mentioned as a giant scholar. So he was soon you see his elderly Talmid Chacham, an elderly scholar, and he had two students that sat before him. They want to show us an example of something that happened, a story that happened, and you see the application. הביאו לפניו כרוב ודור מסכין ופרגיות. They brought before him kruv. Kruv, in general, it's a kruv. In Hebrew, you call it a kruv mevushal, which means that they brought before him a cabbage. And dru maskin, there are several explanations. The common explanation, it's a species of palm that came from Damascus. And here they try to say that prunes du maskin, it's either in black or yellow, and they go up to 3 centimeter in diameter, and they grow on a tree of shrubs with white flowers and white leaves. So because it's Tosefta here has a lot of halachic difficulty, Rashi here he determined that the term referred to a vegetable, but also it's possible the other hand that they is speaking about cook palms, over which one might recite Bore Priya Adama. So anyway, They go here, and the students, what happened is, Natan bar kapara reshut le'echad mehem. So you know, they always ask you permission. So one of the students get a permission to recite a blessing. Kafatz ubeirach al apargiot. So the student, he was too impetuous, so without first consulting with Bar Kapara, etc., he just jump and he make the shakol on the pargiot, on the partridge. Ligleg alav chavero. Now remember this word, ligleg. Ligleg is mean belittle. It's like mocking. Now, because of the incidents, the Gemarah do not mention the names of both students. Soon you see why. So one of them make fun of him. Ka'as Bar Kapara. Bar Kapara was furious over that behavior. Amar, so what do you think? Why Bar Kapara was angry? At the first glance, it's because the guy who make the bracha did not ask him. So Bar Kapara clarified and said, no. לא על המברך אני כועס, אלא על המלגלג אני כועס. I am angry not because of the guy that jumped and said the bracha without consulting me. That's a different issue. I am angry at the guy that mocked the other guy, that make fun of him. אם חברך דומה כמי שלא טעם טעם בשר מעולם, if your colleagues is like who's a person that never tasted meat, אתה מה לגלגת עליו? You have no rights to make fun of him. חזר בר כפרה ואמר, לא על המלגלג אני כועס, אלא אני מברך אני כועס. Now he turned around and he said, I'm also, in a sense, angry of that one who just make the blessing without asking me. Okay, so what's the issue? Trace a situation that you can make one or two or even three blessings over different foods. And you have the Rav or the Torah scholar there or the books to look. And what you do instead, you said, I don't want to bother with searching what's the proper bracha. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do shakol. You have the Rav there, or in our days, for example, if you don't have the Rav, you have the books, right? You can make a Google search, right? So, ואמר, בר כפרה said, אם אין חוכמה, אין כאן, אם חוכמה אין כאן, זקנה אין כאן. So he said to him, if you don't think about wisdom, the least you can do is give I'm elderly person, give me the proper respect and ask me the question. Now that Gemarah said here something very strong. It's a phrase you see in several places in the Talmud. Tana u'shnehem lo hotziu shnatan. It's a phrase in Talmud that said that they didn't finish their year, which applied to several situations that the sages will use different term of, you read it in this parasha, of some type of curse, like as a result of doing so. But again, in the point is that if you read here the Tosefta, he said, first of all, is a machloket between Rashi and Tosefta about Maskin. Rashi hold that it's used the word pronash, and he said that Maskin, it's shalkot me'eser. That's Rashi, that it's come from some type of grass. Tosefta disagree. And he said that he's a cabbage. But then, regarding Bar Kapara, so Tosefta said, Natan Bar Kapara reshut le'achai mevarech ne'oresh bracha lefanav. We are discussing here the blessing before the meal. De'i b'shel acharav ha'amrinan den mezamnin al ha'perot. If you tell me that the discussion here is the after meal, we don't do zimun on the fruits. Umayre be'esev, which means that they sit in a regular meal. We don't have any law of reclining only for bread. Therefore, it has to be individual both for the fruits and for the wine. So you see that The question is why each of them did not recite the blessing for himself, because it's no zimun in regard to the fruits. So the explanation is that with regard to the blessing before eating, as the Tosefta and Rashba said, is permissible to do it. But they continue that Bar Kapara himself only wished to eat the secondary portion, and therefore he asked one of the students to recite the blessing over the primary food in his place. That's the Pnei Yoshua point of view. And the Talmud Yerushalmi, he has said that the two, when they use the word "Shnehem lo matzu shnatam," that two people are gone, they still do not know what to do in this case. So the purpose of saying that both of them did not live out this year, it means that we don't know what's the final word here. Anyway, my love behaka mifligei. So what is the disagree? Dimvarech savar. Now we don't mention the names. We just said one we call him mevarech, one who make the bracha. The other one we call melagleg, one who makim. So he said the mevarech savar. The mevarech said shlakot ufargiot she'akol niya bidvaro ilka chaviv adif. ומלגלג סבר שלקות בורא פרי אדמה פרגיות שהכל נהיה בדברו ילקח פירה עדיף. The big question is, what is more important? Is the fruits take precedent, or something that you prefer take precedent? So he said, since that you make a shlakot, which is a boiled vegetable, for example, or pargiot, the pul, so you have to say she'akol. Why? Because he hold, the one who make the bracha, that he prefers, what he likes better, take precedent. It's always when they serve you food that you like and the food that you're crazy about and you love. So there are different things. One hold that what's happening, you go by what? But something that you like the most, right? So it's called chaviv adif, and therefore he makes she'akol. And the other one, he said that because the fruits is more important, the fruit take precedence, so it's more specific, and therefore more specific. So if it's shlakot, borei pri adama, and pargiot she'akol. Okay, so there is important point I would like to share with you. It's called the main requisite measure for final blessing, which you can derive from that. So the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim in 210 said, Hashiur lebracha achrona, one does not recite the blessing after eating if he ate less than kezait of bread or any other food. There is some poskim that hold that an olive with its pits, a person should make the bracha achrona. So therefore one should not eat less than kezait. That's some poskim hold. But the discussion here over the fruit take precedent. So the Shulchan Aruch in the next siman in 211 said, Peira adif, if one has two kind of food before him, it happens. Right? They're serving you, and one of which has a more significant blessings. For example, you have the borei pri ha'etz, or create food from the tree, or borei pri adama, create food from the ground. So the one it's opposed to. So what do? So one should recite something that more significant blessing first, even if you prefer the other food. That's the Magen Avraham, very important. So in other words, if you have borei pri ha'etz and borei pri adama, and you like one of them, you go by the more significant. But you should remember that if you go by the more significant, sometimes you incorporate the other one, which means, we discussed it many times, when you do borei pri adama, can you go ahead and make borei pri ha'etz afterward? No. Why? Because the minute you make borei pri adama, you already incorporate borei pri ha'etz. So we continue the discussion. The Gemarah said, לא, no, דכולי עלמא שלקות ופרגיות שהכל נהיה בדברו. Everyone agrees. So far we are in discussion, the proper priority. So he said, boiled vegetable or pulled. So the person says, שהכל והכה בהי סברה כמפלגי. So now they argue over the svara of the opinion. What is it? Mar savar chaviv adif umar savar kruv adif dezayen, which means one hold that the reason that they ridiculed the hymn, so the one who hold, he said that the preferred take precedent, and one who make fun of him, he hold that what? The cabbage take precedence as it because why? Because it's nourisher. So Rab Zera said, Omar Rab Zera, ki avinan be Ravuna amar lan hanei gargel dile delifta praminu prima rabba bore pri adama prima zuta shakol niya bidvaro. So Rab Zera said, when we are with Ravuna, he said this type of turnip heads, which one cut them and make it large pieces, so you have to make bore pri adama, and if it was small pieces, she'akol. So if you remember yesterday as an example, we discussed a situation that you have something that is a combination of juice and pieces of fruit. So here we say that it's different how you cut it. In other words, if it's a very small pieces, it's already incorporated as a juice, and the same as we said yesterday, if you drink a orange juice, even you read on the box, they have different category that's it's palm, still since you drink it as a juice, even it contains small pieces, it's still she'akol. וכי התן לבי רב יהודה אמר לן, אידי ואידי בורא פרי אדמה. They entered to Rav Yehuda, he says in both cases is a בורא פרי אדמה from the ground, והי דפרמינו תפי כי אחד אינים תקטעמי. The reason that he make it so small, like the Israeli salad, it's you see, look, everybody noticed that it's a very small, so in here you make it so small, so the taste is much sweeter. Amar Ravashi, someone told me yesterday that they have nowadays a coconut oil, that if you buy it from absolute whole food, with no any process, it's a very, very good for memories and all kind of things. So one of the things that that fellow brought me, kosher, oil, coconut, I tasted and I noticed that it makes the whatever you eat sweeter. So if you put it on any other food, it sweetens that product. Anyway, Amar Ravashi, כי אבין על בי רב כהנא אמר לן, תבשילה דסילקה דלא מפשו בה קמחה, בורא פרי אדמה. He said that any type of cooked beet dish which they did not add a lot of flour. So again, nowadays you have a containers and you have something that people baked, and it's different process of baking the beet, all right? But he said when they don't add too much flours, you make בורא פרי אדמה. דליפתא דמפשו בה קמחא תפי בורא מיני מזונות. Remember we discussed yesterday a situation when you have, it was day before yesterday, sorry, if you have a carrot cake, remember? So if you have a carrot cake, and what happened with the carrot cake, you have more, sometimes more grain, or more wheat, or more carrot. So what happened? What happened is that you have to determine what is the most. So he said if they have a cooked dish that have a lot of flour, even they have this type of lifta, turnips, still you have to make bor mini mezonot. Ve'adar amar. And then Bar Kapara came and he said, no, idi ve'idi bore pri adama, both case, it's like you have some type of kugel that it's so much carrot. It's an example. Over here, the lifta, so much turnip dish that you make bore pri adama ve'hai de shade de kim chatfei, the buke be'alma avdele. The reason that they add some flour is just they want to make it together, to attach it. You know, sometimes you make a product and it's too liquid, people cannot eat it, or they don't like to eat it. Like to eat it as attached together. It looks like a piece of cake. So therefore, they use certain flour sometimes just to put it, or eggs, depending on the product, together. Amar Rav Chizda. So it's a side note. Rav Chizda said, "Tavshil shel tradin yafel alev." You remember we said about oil coconut that it's good for HDL. And it's good for memories, they said. So here they said that the cooked beets, it's good for the heart. וכל שכן לבני מעיים, and definitely for those who have digestive issues. אמר אביי, you see how much wisdom you have in the Talmud? Think about it. People 1800 years ago, before all these smart guys in the science world knew all of this. They tell us all these things, that all these research coming out every day. אמר אביי, והוא דייתיב אבי תפי ואביד תוך, and this is provided that the dish set in a stove until the beets became so soft that it's like, you call it tuch, that it's a very, very soft. So again, we said earlier that there are different stages of eating beet. There are some beet that they are strong. Even you go to a store and buy containers, which I don't recommend, but you see a strong, that they put all these ingredients to hold it, observe, and you have those cook either naturally with some salt, etc., that to make it soft. So he said it reach a point sometimes that it's very soft, that like tuk he used the word. But you should know that if it's overcooked, sometimes it changed the position. Amar Rav Papa said, Pshita li maya de silka kesilka, umaya de lifta kelifta, umaya de chulu shalki kekulu shalki. So he said, it's clear to me that when it's turned to a liquid, like you make a soup, beet soup, so even you have the beet, it's considering like a beet themselves. And we say the turnips soup is like the soup itself, and the vegetable, if you make it as a soup, it's like the soup, it's liquid. By Rav Papa, so Rav Papa asked, Maya de shivta mai, what do you do with the soup that you cook with dill? Lematuke tama avdei or le'abure zuama avdelei. Sometimes you put certain ingredients either to take away a bad aroma, or you make it in order to make it sweet, right? So he said tashma. So we learn, because sometimes by adding that, you're changing the position of the food. It's either different taste, or it's different look, etc. Tashma. Hashevet, dil, mishenatna ta'am bakdera. The moments that you put a dill in the dish, ein ba mishum truma, ve'ena metama tumat ochalim, which means if you have something that the person put as a teruma for the Beit HaMikdash, so if the stock of truma dill, you put it in a pot that full of food, right? So Rashi explained that if you do that, they change the flavor of the food, and because of that, this type of stock is not, you cannot use it for the truma. It's not a truma restriction, so it's not food. It's different. It's not the same category. So it means shma mina. You learn from that. Lematuke tama avdelai shma mina. Now, two things. Number one, when the Gemarah used the word shma mina twice, is like twice, which means that's the final word. But also, they want to teach us here that it make it to enhance the flavor of the dish, and because of that, it's already changed. So, a halacha. Let me bring the Shulchan Aruch.
So it's like the flavor is truma, not the actual.
Yes,
not the actual.
Yes.
Dill, which makes sense because we don't usually just eat the dill. It's a flavor that we're looking for.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the Rambam in the Hilchot Truma, chapter 15, he said about the shevet, about the dill. Once dill was cooked and flavored the food with which it was cooked, it no longer has the halacha, the legal status of food as far as the halacha or ritual impurity, and the truma are concerned because not concerned because it's changed the taste. Also, the Rambam said in the Hilchot Brachot, he said that Berakhot, if you have a vegetable water, so before you're eating a soup that made from vegetables, they are typically eating with their broth, which means if you cook them with intention to eat the vegetable as well.
Right.
So in that case, he said that the same is the opinion of Rav Papa, that you have to make Bora Pri Adama, the Rambam said. And he said also in Hilchot Brachot, he said that
so that would be like a vegetable soup made with large pieces of vegetables in it.
Yes.
Because if you cut them up very small, then it would.
Correct.
Right.
You see, for example, the store like 7 Mile, they're selling you packages to make a quick soup. So you just put those
large
vegetables,
pieces of vegetables, yep.
and you add some water. Goodbye. You put some salt. You come back half hour later and you eat it. So what happens is it's a very large pieces. Okay.
So now, presume then that what they're talking about with dill, that would be the case for all aromatic herbs like parsley and
basically all of them.
yeah.
Yes. Tavshil yerek v'kemach. So the Rambam said, if you have a cooked dish of vegetable and flour, so he said before eating vegetables to which flours was added for purposes of consistency, so you have to say Bora Pri Adama as you're doing over the regular vegetables. That's the opinion of Rav Kahana. And the Rambam also said, and it's also you have it in the Halacha in the Mishnah Brura in 205. He said Chatichot Yerek, when you have vegetable slices. So when the minute you cut them in small pieces, it maintains its identity and form, and therefore the blessing is the same. That's the Mishnah Brura. Anyway, so he said here, Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi. Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, Pat Snuma Bak'ara, or if you have it's called in Hebrew Tznimim, like a dry bread. So you have a dry bread in the bowl, Mevarchin Alea Hamotzi. There are people who have issues with digestions, etc. So sometimes they go to the extreme. Either they can eat only very soft food, or there are some people who have to eat this type of tznimim, like rock hard bread. So Rashi explained here, יבשה שניתנה בהקערה לשרות וכן צנומות דקות. That sometimes they put it in the bowl, so they soak it, so they can use it for food, so it can go either way. So he said, ופליגה רב חייא דאמר רבי חייא צריך שתכלה ברכה עם הפת. Rashi again explained that ברכת המוצאים, פריסת הפרוסה מן הפת, ואי פרוס ועומדו. So he said the blessing they have to have together with breaking the loaf. So you break the loaf while reciting there's the blessing, so it's no hefsek. So what do? For example, when you eat on Shabbat, so you take the challah or the bread, you make a little sign, a little slice, small, but you don't cut it, you just make a sign. You make the bracha, and then you slice a piece. First and foremost, you have to eat it, because you make the bracha, even people waiting. And then you have to slice further. But here, matkifla rava, Mishna צנומה דלא משום דחיקה לי הברכה הפרוסה קליה על הפת נמי כי גמרה הפרוסה גמרה, which says what's the difference between the dry bread and not dry? If you tell me that when you blessing reciting the conclusion, it's reciting conclusion with a broken piece, rather than the whole loaf. So even on the whole loaf, which is the way that Rav Chia said, that all the blessing is culminates, so it culminates on the broken piece, which means that this is the idea of saying the bracha of the whole bread, because the minutes that you break it, so it's a broken bread, it's not the whole loaf. So for example, if you have a lechem Mishnah, in Shabbat you have to have 2 chalot. So let's say if you buy, but it's not enough, or people ate and now it's the 3rd meal. So it's preferable to do it in both chalot, but if you have 1 broken and 1 full challah, so the bracha, you should always go over the full one and not the broken one. אלא אמר רבא, מברך ואחר כך בוצע. So Rava said that first you make the blessing, and afterward you break the bread. So Rashi explained, וגומר כל הברכה, you complete the blessing, ואחר כך מפריש הפרוסה, and then you take this slice, the kali bracha pat shalem, because even you put a small sign on the challah, but it has to have shalem, they have to have complete challah, and then you slice it and you serve it. Nehar de avre kerabi chiya v'Rabbanan avde kerava. Nehar de, as we said, it was a place in the Babylon. It's called Nahar De'ah, that it was a tremendous amount of yeshivot. So they said Nahar De, students from Nahar De'ah, they did according to Rabbi Chia, Rabbanan, the sages go by the Rabbah. Amar Ravina, Amra li em, which means my mom told me. Avuch avid כרב חייא. דאמר רבי חייא, אתה צריך שתכלה ברכה עם הפת, ורבנן עבדי כרבה. So he said that it's a story that Ravina said that my mom told me, your father used to do like Rabbi Chia, which means his father is no longer among the living, and the sages made the rabbah. So they make halacha according to the rabbah. So the Shulchan Aruch said in Orach Chaim Kuf Samech Zayin 167, he said, Mevarchim alechem shalem, we shall make a blessing on a full bread, ומתחילים לחתוך מעט לפני הברכה כדי שלא יהיה הפסק. The Taz said that you have to have you slice in order to avoid hefsek right after the bracha, the way that the Rabbah said. So v'hilcheta, so the final halacha we said keraba. So basically that's the final halacha. It's good to see the Ritva and the Rosh on this. We don't have enough time, but it's a they have some opinion that if the bread was broken in the conclusion of the blessing, it's certainly issue with the full blessing. In other words, the process, they have a long discussion. Itmar. Now, it's a different discussion. Since we discussed all the idea of hamotzi, the blessing before the bread, so now it's a question over pieces. It's not full bread, it's pieces, which means viu lifnehem ptitin ushleimin. It was a small pieces of bread and the whole loaves. Amar Rav Huna mevarech al aptitin upoter et hashlemin. So Rav Huna said that he make the blessing over the pieces and he discharges his obligation for the whole loaves. So you see here Machloket in Rashi and Tosefta. Rashi said פתיתין ושלמים אמר רב הונא, אם רצה מברך על הפתיתים, ואם הפתיתים גדולים מן השלמים צריך לברך עליהם. So it's one way Rashi hold that when it's come to say Amotzi, he said that if it's the ptitim, if the pieces is larger than the whole one, so he can he should make on the ptitim, on the pieces, the brachat hamotzi. Tosefta disagreed. And he said, he quote Rashi, he said, Piresh Rashi, אם הפתיתים והשלמים שווים יברך על איזה שירצה, if they are equal, the pieces and the full loaf, it's the same, he can make a blessing according to his wishes. ואם הפתיתים גדולים צריך לברך על הפתיתים לפתור את השלמים, but if the pieces are large, he make the blessing over them. So, trace a scenario. You have a small challah roll, and you have a very large slice of piece of bread. So Rabbi Yochanan אומר על השלמים מצווה למובחר, אפילו עם הפתיתים גדולים, תפי. Rabbi Yochanan hold that even the pieces are large, the idea is that mitzvah min hamuvchar, the proper way is to make it over, as we said earlier in Shalishudis, in the third meal, you should go by the full, complete challah and not the one who's broken. Im ken, the Tosefta said, svara fucha, it's the opposite understanding. Why? Delravuna ptitin shem gdolim adifi, Rabbi Yochanan shlemim adifi. According to Ravuna, pieces, large pieces, it's better. And according to Rabbi Yochanan, the full loaf, it's more important. Ve'en svara lipligi ba'afoch svarot. So Tosefta, in short, he ended up and he said, he's, in a way, he's disagreeing here, and he said that the basic idea, as we said, that when it's come to halacha, we should go by the full piece of loaf. Let me read something from the halacha. First, it's the Rav Hai Gaon and Rashba. So, it's the idea that ptitim ushlemim, that if you have pieces on the whole loaf, so you have this machloket between Rav Yochanan and Ravuna. So they said that since the pieces are already sliced, they can be eaten immediately, and pleasure from them is instantaneous. So it's preferable to recite a blessing over them rather than to the whole loaves, which one must slice before enjoying them. That's the point of Rabbi Gon and Rashba. But as you see that the Rambam in Hilchot Berachot, he said that when Shema u'prusa, when one has a whole loaf of unrefined bread and a slice of refined bread before him, so the Rambam said, recite blessing over the whole loaf, even if it's made of the some type of not the usual coarse flour. But if it was a wheat slice and the barley loaf, he placed the slice beneath the loaf and break from both at once. So that's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. Now, so he said, so again, Rabbi Yochanan אמר אבונה, ברך על הפתיתים וברך את השלמים. Rabbi Yochanan שלמה מצווה מן המובחר. So as we said, I want to just reinforce something. You buy many chalot and you are blessed with many guests, and they ate in the first meal most of the chalot, and you have one broken challah and one full challah now left, for example, for the third meal. So the way it should done, that's the way Rabbi Yochanan said, that you make the bracha over what?
The whole loaf, if possible.
Even someone may say, why you don't finish the one that's already open? But here Rabbi Yochanan said that the mitzvah min hamuvchar, that the manner of performing mitzvah, it's the whole loaf is the proper choice, right? That the wholeness is a superior feature with regard to blessing, and even more important than the largeness. That's Rabbi Yochanan. אבל פרוסה של חיטין ושלמים מן השעורים, דברי הכל מברך על הפרוסה של חיטין ופותר את השלמה של השעורים. So if you have two loaf of bread One is made of wheat and one is barley. Right? So what is more important? So wheat take precedent over barley in regard to blessing. Why? Because the Torah, when the Torah speaks about Eretz Israel, right? So the Torah said Eretz Chita u'Sorah, the wheat and barley, etc. So the Torah put the Chita, the wheat, first.
This seems to imply that even if the wheat loaf is broken, it takes precedence over a whole barley loaf.
Because the Torah mentioned the wheat first.
Right, so in that case you would say it over the broken loaf as opposed to the whole loaf of barley bread. Okay. So the wheat is more important than the whole loaf, essentially. Wheat versus barley takes precedence.
Okay, but that's not the final word.
Okay.
The Gemarah derived from that and said that it's a discussion with the Tanaic dispute. Why? אמר רבי ירמיה בר אבא כתנאי, תורמים בצל קטן שלם, אבל לא חצי בצל גדול. The same argument you have over onion, that when you take a truma from the onion crop, so you take a whole small onion rather than a half large onion. רבי יהודה אומר, רבי יהודה said, לא כי אלא חצי בצל גדול, only half for onion for תרומה. My life בהקה מפליגי, what is the argument? דמר סבר חשוב עדיף ומר סבר שלם עדיף. One hold that what's important is what is more significant, and one hold that the one that is a whole, that is a not broken, it's more important. So you see how you juxtapose to our discussion. So the Gemarah rejected it and they said, Hey Chadeika Kohen, Kule Alma lo pligei de chashuv adif. When you have a Kohen there, so he can receive the Truma right away. So both Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda agree that the proper is the large half onion. It's more important than they separate. Kipli gadeleika kohen. Their machloket is when they have no kohen. Ditnan kol makom sheyesh kohen torem min hayafe, v'kol makom she'en kohen torem min hamitkayem. So if you have a kohen, you bring the nicest one. Why you bringing the nicest one to the kohen? So remember the story of Cain and Abel?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened, Cain and Abel, Hashem received the gift. From whom? From Abel and not from Cain. Why? Because they have the whole world. But Abel, the Rabbi tells us, he brought the nicest one. The one that the best. We always comments when you're bringing a donation, you're bringing something that it's nice, not whatever left over.
Mm-hmm.
You drop it. So here, when it's come to the Kohen, you should bring him there's something that's superior product. But if there's no Kohen available, so one separate Truma from the longer lasting products. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, En Torem ela hayafe. Rabbi Yehuda disagreed and he said, which makes sense, in that sense, he said that even though it might spoil before one can give it to the Kohen, you should give the nicest part always. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, וירא שמיים יוצא ידי שניהם. The one is a God-fearing, he should do the both practicing, which means that he should combine the both. Umanu, and who is the person that have yirat shamayim, the God-fearing person? Mar Brei de Ravina, that's his name, son of Rabina. The Mar Brei de Ravina maniach פרוסה שלמה, פרוסה בתוך השלמה ובוצע. That what do you do? He take the under the bread of the whole loaf, a sliced bread, and he hold both, and he make the blessing. And that's what we said. You do it in Shalishudis. So, just a practical halacha. On Friday night, you have two chalot. You take one at the top of the others, make the slice that you're going to do on the bottom, and then you make the bracha, and you pull it out, and you slice the one at the bottom. The morning, go the other way. Tana Kamed Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, מניח הפרוסה בתוך השלמה ובוצע ומברך. One who serve a large bit of bread and a smaller whole loaf, right? And he make the bracha. אמר להם מה שמך? So Nachman Bar Yitzchak was very happy. He said to the student, what is your name? אמר לי, Shalman. Shalman. So Shalman, there's a pasuk in Hosea that speak about Shalman, but there's some ask if that was a real or not real. But anyway, if for the sake of understanding, Shalman is come from the word Shalom. אמר לי, Shalom אתה ושלמה משנתך ששמת שלום בין התלמידים. He used the word Shalom 3 times because his name is Shalman, and he said that you are a person of harmony, of peace, and what you're teaching is harmonious because you created peace and harmony between the student, right? So it's like playing with words. You use the word Shalman in 3 different phases. אמר רב פאפא, הכל מודים. Now we go to the Pesach. הכל מודים שבפסח מניח פרוסה בתוך שלמה ובוצע. מה איתמה לחם עוני כתיב? Because the Torah used the lechem oni, the bread of poverty, so therefore they all agree that the first night of Pesach, one take the broken pieces of matzah inside, which means under the full matzah, that's the way poor people eat. So it's very important to know that by us, part of the expression of freedom is the bread of poverty. And to show a bread of poverty, that's the way that poor people eat. Some say that the way that they eat, they always serve some food for later on. So breaking it and using some, it's part of that manner. אמר רבי ארבע, ובשבת חייב אדם לבצוע על שתי כיכרות. On Shabbat, a person should, and it's required to use for the amotzi over 2 challah bread. So, for those who are not familiar, if you have no choice, you have no choice. You make it over whatever you have. But it's advisable and preferable and wishable, if you can, to do it properly over 2 slices of bread. Maitama, what's the reason? Lechem mishnektiv. The Torah used the word double portion. So since the Torah said lechem mishneh, because Moses instructed them to go out of the tent when they have a manna. And they went out, and on Friday, what happened?
That double portion.
The Torah said, והיה ביום השישי והכינו את אשר יביאו והיה משנה על אשר ילקטו יום יום, which means on Friday they have a double portion that should sustain them for the entire Shabbat. Few people were challenged and they try again, and Moshe Rabbeinu was very angry, but basically it should be double portion. They follow the way that we have it for so many years in the desert. So that's the purpose of using the double portion of bread on Shabbat. אמר רב אשי, חזינה לרב כהנא, רב אשי said, I saw Rav Kahana, דנקה תרתי ובצע חדה. What did he do? I saw him taking 2 bread and he broke only 1. Why? Because the Torah said laktu lechem mishneh. So laktu lechem mishneh, so he slices just 1 of them. So they said Rav Zera hava batza akula sheruta. Rav Zera break off a large piece of bread that was suffice for the entire meal. Probably it was a large bread. Mm-hmm. I saw several weddings, they have bread bigger than the size of this table. אמר לרבינה לרב אשי, והאקה מתחזק רב תנותה. The Gemarah in few places, the rabbis are very much against people who eat like in very vulgarious, lack of manners way, which is like not in a proper way. So he said, אמר לי, כיוון דכל יום לא כעביד אחי, he said to him, since every day he does not do this, והאין נקעביד, and just today he made it, לא מתחזק רהבתנותה. It's not like he is vocarious.
Voraciousness.
What?
Voraciousness.
Voraciousness, thank you. Rav Ami v'Rav Asi ki hava mitrama l'urifta da'aruva. Right? Rav Ami v'Rav Asi, when they have the eruv bread, מברכים עליה מוציא לחם מן הארץ. Oil amre oil v'itavid b'mitzvah chad and have a mitzvah achrite. So what happened is, it's a machloket if it's applied to erev tavshilim or it's applied to erev chatzerot. So what happened, they have what they dedicate for eruv in a separate place. So Rashi hold she'ervu bo etmol eruvei chatzerot. That's applied to eruvei chatzerot. Okay, so they take the slice of bread dedicated for the eruv chatzerot and they use it. However, the Meiri said that that's applied to eruvei tavshili. So he said because you have one mitzvah, we included another mitzvah with this, which means that he combined two birds in one shot, two mitzvot in one time. He said that since one mitzvah was performed with it, we'll perform another mitzvah with it. So the Shulchan Aruch, two halachot I'd like to mention to you. First about the bread of the eruv. So it's customary to use the loaf of eruv, for either the joining of the chatzerot, the courtyard, or the joining of the cooked dishes. And the Shulchan Aruch said this one of the two loaves is the Shabbat morning meals. He said it in the chapter 394. So in other words, if you make something for the eruv, right, so you should use it for the Shabbat morning meal, so you combine several mitzvot. Also you make the bracha. Another halacha is the Shulchan Aruch said in Orach Chaim 274, Hava batza akula sheruta. Would break off the large piece of the loaf and eat from the eat it for the entire Shabbat meal. So it is mitzvah to break off a large piece that will last throughout the meal. So that's the custom of Rav Zera. And also when we use the idea of taking two chalot and slice one and make the blessing on that, so the Shulchan Aruch said, also the Ramah said that the naketarti uvtza chada, on Shabbat one hold the two loaves and break one of them. That's the Rav Kahana's opinion. And there are some, the Ramah, who disagree, and he said that in the weekday one should hold one loaf over the other while reciting the blessing, and he break the bottom one. It's the meal of the Shabbat in the festivals, however, he break the top. It's a Kabbalistic way, but the Ramah elaborated that. Marshall deal with that. Magen Avram said that it's the same. But in short, our minhag is to take the both challah, to put a little sign, and for Friday night to use the one on the bottom, pull it out and make. And Saturday morning you make the slice, but you make the bracha one on top of the others and use the top. It's a little Kabbalistic, but that's the way there. And the last halacha is the Shulchan Aruch in 475. He said, "Hakol modim bepesach shemaniach prusa betoch hashlema." So some maintain that unlike other festivals, that on Passover one may break the piece rather than the whole, because it's lechem oni, right? So therefore, even at the time of the Geonim, the 7th and 8th century, the custom was to take the whole loaf of unleavened bread and together with a piece. So that's when they Seder of Amram Gaon, etc. But the halacha is that on the Shulchan Aruch said that on Passover one places the slice beneath the whole, and he breaks them both, and that's the opinion of who mentioned of the Rav Papa. So just a heads up, I want to know that what we're going to continue, it's the whole continuation of halachot when it's come to bracha and hefsek bebracha, such as if you have a situation that you notice that there's no melach, there's no salt, you allow to stop and ask for that, etc. So it's a specific situation that you're allowed to go ahead and ask for something.
Like a knife to cut the challah or something like that.
And things like that, it's דבר הבא בסעודה. To wrap it up, what we study today is first of all הלכות כזית, the minimum measure, what we need to. We learn about Pesach, we learn how to slice the bread on Shabbat, and we learn the proper measurement, especially when it's come to the wheat and barley. And we're going to continue in Mitzvah Shem the whole halachot when it's come to Berachot on Seudah and דבר הבא בסעודה.